Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a series for Fusion November called The Triangle of Love, and we're on part 5. So I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you smash that like button, comment down below what you think of it and what's about to happen, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we have hit 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing, and I just want to say a massive thank you for all the love and support. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Part 5. Adrien, Cat's POV. Oh, how much his heart cried out for him not to watch. Wait, was she taking a step back? Did she hear him? But that look on her face, he never wanted her to feel that. What game was Luka playing here? The look he had given him? Marinette had stared at Luka and now her sight landed on him. Say something. Sorry, but Marinette, may I talk with you for a moment? Alone? He rubbed his hand at the back of his neck, a nervous twitch he had developed over the years and seemed to bring a sense of comfort, but not today. He needed to speak to her, wanted to speak to her and tell her how much. Please? A crowd was now developing around them which could gain the attention of Natalie and her team, who would stop him and any chance he had at resolving this misunderstanding. And perhaps just this once he would end up with the girl. He watched as her cheeks become hot and red as she stared at Luka, having a silent conversation as he nodded a reply to her question. Before he reacted, her gaze fell on him and he could feel his whole body pause, waiting for her answer. She nodded her head as her voice squeaked out the answer. Sure? She had said sure. She agreed to speak to him. In an explosion, his body started back up again. Okay, take a deep breath. She had agreed to talk. It means you still have a chance, one step at a time. But not here. They needed somewhere private and remembered a small room off the corridor. He gestured for Marinette to follow him. Oh, how much he wanted to hold her hand, to reach out, yearning for a touch. He guided her through the crowd, glancing back to check he hadn't lost her, or that she hadn't changed her mind. Through here. He struggled to get the words out, his heart hammering in his chest. Just do it. Take the plunge. Take her hand and guide her through. The worst she could do was reject it. His hand suddenly darted out and grabbed hold of hers. Oh, wow. It felt wonderful at the spark and ignition between them. Was it possible she felt it too? He paused instead for a tenth of a second, glancing down at his hand before locking his eyes onto hers, and a smile formed across his lips with a hint of a blush on his cheeks. Shivers rippled through his fingers as he interlocked their hands. Oh, he would never let go of this, of her. Why had it taken him so long to see what had been in front of him this entire time? He had led her back into the hallway and into one of the side rooms as the sound of the party drifted away, leaving behind an uncomfortable silence. They were alone. Okay, you can do this. Now is the time to tell her how you feel. After all, you're a superhero who fights villains every day. Why should this be so hard? Exposing your emotions and hoping with all your heart she might feel something towards you? He kept brushing his thumb against hers as her eyes shot up, causing him to become transfixed in her stare. Adrien? Marinette? Please? She nodded her head, giving way for him to speak first. He gave her a wide smile. I wanted to say sorry for yesterday. You see, I was running late and distracted. I didn't hear you. No, I didn't realize what you were asking. What I said, I didn't mean, no, I meant it. You are a good friend. You are, but you're more than that. You see, I like you. No, it's not. Anger boiled up inside of him. Why couldn't he just say what he rehearsed? The words which had been sitting on the tip of his tongue for a while. Adrien, what are you saying? His thumb stopped moving as he pulled her hand closer to him. Taking a deep breath, he tried again. Marinette, his voice low and soft. Is there a chance? Do you still... Their phones called out in unison with an akuma alert, breaking the trance they had found themselves in. At once, they broke their gaze on one another and grabbed their phones, staring at the screen. Oh, he really had the look of the black cat, didn't he? Focusing now on her safety, he shifted into Cat. Stay here! His voice had become clear and focused. You'll be safe here. I'm gonna go and check on the others. I'll be back. He lifted their hands, which were still interlocked, and pressed his lips into her skin, expressing all of his emotions into that one gesture. Wait for me? There's so much more I need to say. I want to say to you. He watched as conflicted thoughts drift across her face until a faint smile spread across her lips, followed by a nod of her head. That was enough for him. For now, knowing his princess would be safe, and soon he would return to her and not hesitate. He turned his back on her, his fingers slipping out of her grip as he made his way to the door. No. He couldn't wait. He wanted to tell her now. Every fiber in his body ignored his head and forced him to turn round. He stood in front of her, running his fingers across her jaw as he cupped her face. His heart leapt inside his chest as her eyes widened in hope and saw that he might have that chance after all. His lips hovered above hers. Marinette, The phones went off again, signaling the akuma battle was close by now. He scrunched up his face in frustration. Please, wait. He breathed, tilting his head to the side and slowly placed a kiss on her warm cheek. I will. Stay safe, she whispered. She had confirmed it in words. He would deal with whatever shadow moth had conjured up and race back to her. In 3 strides he was out the door. He dashed to the bathroom a couple of doors down, ignoring the people passing him by in the corridor. Without giving Plagg a second to comment, Adrien transformed and jumped out of the window, making his way to the action. Why on all nights did this have to happen? He knew he should temper his emotions and calm his thoughts for the fight, but for once he didn't want to hide his emotions, his feelings for anyone, and hoped he could funnel some of this anger and jealousy against the newest villain. That was until he caught sight of it, and a cold shudder ran through his body at the look of it. Ladybug and Cat Noir, I am Phantom. I will send the whole of Paris to the spirit world, unless you hand us your Miraculous. Cat added to the distant voice calling down the streets. Is that a ghost? He baffled at the vision of a person drifting below him, transparent and able to travel through solid matter. He heard her feet slam down behind him, but he couldn't remove his stare from the random spirit as another one flew beside the first. Hey, Cat. It wouldn't be Halloween without one akuma. What have we got this time? Hey, Ladybug. His voice was tight and lacked its usual warmth and playfulness. It calls itself Phantom. Look. He pointed to a couple floating a few meters off the ground, but as they drifted towards the shop, they could make out the light shining through them. They are transparent and seem to be in some sort of trance. Yeah, I spotted a few like that. He's turning the public into ghosts. How? Where is he? He spotted another couple darting down the street, glancing left and right but not looking up. Get inside! He called, feeling helpless as Phantom floating above them. As they stared up at Cat, the figure came into view, but it was too late. They emerged out of the mist with their expressions transfixed in fear as the transparent figures drifted away from one another. His stomach churned at the sight before him. That was horrifying to watch. We have to do something. Tell me you have a plan, Ladybug. Well, the problem are, how can we get close enough without that happening to us? Yeah. And the other one, how do we capture an akuma when the item is transparent? Yeah, but that goes both ways, doesn't it? How can he capture our Miraculous if he's not able to grab it? Cat, you're a genius! Which means he must have a way to become solid. Like when Troublemaker, Jagged's assistant, used a pen to become transparent. Perhaps. But I see nothing like that on it. He glanced back at the villain as an image of the last ghost emerged. It reminds me too much of the ghost of Christmas Future in Muppet's Christmas Carol, but creepier. And that's saying something, because that film gave me nightmares for a week, thanks to that. He caught sight of Phantom and let out a shudder at a memory which had forced its way back into the forefront of his mind. You notice how it's not saying anything either. Normally they would call out the same old line. A sound called out earlier, but it would need a mouth. This thing hasn't got a face by the looks of it. Hawkmoth wouldn't transform this without being able to get what he wants. Like you said, if they can, we can. I think we need some backup on this one. Who? Which Miraculous could help? You can't sting it. Shields won't work, or Mirage. And then, as if reading her thoughts, an image of Viperion flashed into his mind. He knew it made complete sense. Even so, the last thing he wanted to see right now was Luka, followed by the image of him kissing Marinette barely an hour ago. No, we don't need it. Second chance. We need Viperion. If we should fail, we need the chance to go back. Anger and jealousy, unlike he had ever felt before, surged inside of him. No, I disagree, Ladybug. We don't need him to protect us. He knew she spoke a lot of sense, and if this evening hadn't happened, then he would agree with her, and no matter how much he tried to squash Adrien's emotions and be professional Cat Noir, it simply wasn't working. Cat, I think we do. We need to defeat this supervillain first, and we need as many chances as possible. I'm gonna overrule you on this one. LB, we're meant to be partners, equal, and you're overruling me? He had a sudden urge to destroy something. A chimney, perhaps? She couldn't do this, not her. He couldn't have LB turn against him too. She stood in front of him, staring into his face as he kept his eyes low. You're right, we are. So give me one good reason this is a bad idea. Frustration was evident in her voice and lacked the usual calm. There was nothing he could say that didn't hint his identity. Cat clenched his fist and let out a sigh that held a hint of a hiss in it. I can't. Fine. I'll be back in a moment. Keep tracking Phantom. Ending on a softer note. Cat's body remained fixed, but his mind went into endless directions. Each time he tried to take a deep breath and calm down, he was visited by the look on Luka's face. Moments before, that traitor placed his lips on the girl that he liked. No, it was stronger than that. You don't get this angry and jealous and worked up over liked. You don't find yourself constantly daydreaming about the dates you could go on for like. You don't feel that surge of connection as your skin touches hers, as your fingers intertwine for like, for a friend, but for love. That was it, wasn't it? He was in love with Marinette, and yet there was still a chance he could lose her. Now his mind plagued him with the images of last night as she removed his pictures from her wall. He heard 2 sets of footprints land behind him as he spun round and faced them. His eyes narrowed into a glare, watching his green snake unwrap his arms around LB. "How can I help, Ladybug?" Cat strode up to them and angled himself between them, trying hard to hold back the growl. "Yes! Explain to me again why we need him in this battle." Cat, ignoring Viperion, was staring at Ladybug as he quickly threw him a challenging side glance. "No offense, but we're a great team. Just the 2 of us." "Cat, I explained. We discussed this. It makes sense to have backup." She lowered her voice towards Cat. "I don't understand why you are being like this." Cat shrugged his shoulders. She wouldn't understand, and it's not as if he can explain. "I think sometimes we work best, just the 2 of us, that's all." "This one is too high a risk to take that chance." She gestured for Viperion to join her. "So far, we can tell Phantom is transparent." "Like a ghost," Cat added dryly, smirking at his own actions, and saw the always laid-back Luka rise into his bait. "Yes, thank you, Cat." He emits out this mist as he travels, causing the people to become transfixed in some sort of trance and turn transparent, floating around and through anything. Ladybug gestured at the victim for Viperion to see. "I don't know what will happen if we get too close to them, but we can't get near the mist. That is why we need you, if we should fail." "I understand," Viperion said, clearly directing his answer at Ladybug whilst throwing Cat an annoyed look. Before he even realized it had come out of his mouth, Cat hissed at Viperion, taking all, including himself, by surprise. First purring and now hissing? How much more cat-like traits does he have? But he had to admit, hissing was kind of cool. "Cat, can I have a word with you for a moment?" "Excuses, Viperion." Cat gave Viperion a smirk as he walked over to her. "Lose that for a start. The look, whatever is going on, I'm here for you, and we can talk about after the battle, but first, I need your head in the game. I need my partner. I need you. I can't do this without you. This one is a hard villain." She was right. His emotions were getting the better of him, and if he continued like this, LB would end up getting mad at him and could jeopardize his identity. He wouldn't give that up on top of everything else. She gently placed her hand on his arm and knew what she was asking of him. "Are you ready? Are you with me?" A weak smile spread across his lips as he nodded his head. "Sorry, milady. I'm ready." He took a deep breath, but his mind remained rigid with tension. "What's the plan?" He held her gaze. He would at least try for her. She gestured for Viperion to join them. "Do we know where the akuma could be?" "It looks like he has a bracelet on his wrist, possibly a friendship bracelet, and a friend has turned against him." Cat refused to glance at Viperion, who he could feel was staring at him. "Okay, a bracelet. We can work with that, but we still need to get close and for him to become solid." "Well, we have second chance. Why don't we use it to try out different situations?" Cat raised his eyebrows. "That's what I'm here for," Luka said softly, but Cat was sure he heard a hint of bitterness in there. "I suppose you're right. You call out second chance, and then I will call out my lucky charm." "Second chance." Viperion pulled back the head of the snake, while Ladybug threw her yo-yo into the air. "Lucky charm!" Up went a swarm of tiny ladybugs, and down came a leaf blower? It was the one you placed on your back like a backpack and had a long nozzle. Cat removed it from Ladybug's hands and placed it onto his back while Viperion was reaching out to him, which Cat was blatantly ignoring. "Who you gonna call?" "No, please, no, not again." "Again?" Ladybug held her hand up to Cat to wait and stared at Viperion. How many times? At least 10 times now? He threw Cat a guarded look, which made him suspicious of what had happened during all those 10 times. Viperion shifted his gaze from Cat to Ladybug. But I think I might have figured it out. Anger. If he consumed it by either feeding off others. Again, Viperion threw Cat another guarded look, causing his curiosity of his inner cat to rise. Or, if he becomes angry like a poltergeist, he can materialize. So if we use the leaf blower to lead it to a place we can trap him, taunt him, and then Cat can use his catalysm, then it's done. I hope. Ladybug stepped closer to Viperion and breathed. Are you okay? Yes, thank you, Ladybug. It's been a long night. Viperion threw another loaded look at Cat. What had happened between the two of them? Cat wondered more, and fingers crossed, he won. We have little time to get this right. Have we tried this? We taunt him over to the Eiffel Tower, she gestured to herself and Viperion, whilst Cat chases him with a leaf blower, making him angry as he goes. He can take out all of his new frustration. Ladybug gave Cat a questioning smirk. Then, once he is solid, I can use my yo-yo to bind him whilst Cat destroys the bracelet. Would that work? Ladybug directed her question at Viperion. Sounds like a solid plan to me. Cat added in, not that anyone was asking him. We haven't tried it yet, so it has a good chance of working. Great, let's go. So that's what the group did. Cat went off and found Phantom, whilst the other two set up the trap. If there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Cat called after the Phantom whilst wearing his spacesuit. That was his idea, and proud of it. He flew through the streets. The leaf blower was a ghost technical thing. He'd forgotten the name and reminded himself to rewatch the classics of the weekend. Maybe Marinette might enjoy them. The idea brought a glimpse of warmth to his heart. The mist was dispersing around him, and as the Phantom's colour was getting bolder, it was working. Ladybug stood waiting underneath the Eiffel Tower, and the villain called out the usual speech that Hawkmoth was instructing, as Cat held back and watched his bug did her thing and waited for the signal. He leapt forward and shouted, "Catalysm!" and watched as a butterfly flew out of the ash. He handed the leaf blower to LB as she threw it into the air and dissolved into tiny red bugs zipping across the city. Finally, it was done, and he could return to Marinette as he transformed back into the regular Cat Noir. Cat, we need to have a word at some point, but I have to drop Viperion off first. I know, Ladybug. I've been out of line all night, but I hope it will all get resolved soon. But you have my word, it won't happen again. I need to go, and by the looks of it, so do you. He pointed to her earrings. Okay, Cat. I'll talk to you later? Cat nodded his head to LB and then added whilst pulling out of his baton. Thanks for your help, Viperion. Ladybug was right, as usual. We needed you after all. Catch you later. Without waiting for an answer, he jumped onto the nearest rooftop and ran to the hotel. Please say she was okay, that she didn't get hurt in any of the battle, and that he slid back through the same bathroom window and transformed back into Adrien, throwing a piece of cheese at Plagg. He quickly dashed out of the door and down the corridor. Sorry I got held! He came to an abrupt stop. The room was bare. Marinette? You here? He glanced around, hoping she might pop her head around from a chair or something, but there was no answer. His heart dropped and shattered at a thought materialized in his mind. She hadn't waited for him. What did that mean? His phone buzzed in his pocket, brushing away his tears so he could see the message clearly, expecting it to be his driver. But it was Marinette. Marinette. I had to head home, but could you come here and we can finish our conversation? Thank you for listening to part 5 of the Triangle of Love. I hope you enjoyed it. And my cat singing of Ghostbusters. And make sure you comment down below. If you don't know what to say, just put Ghostbusters. And make sure you subscribe. And thank you to everyone who already has subscribed. It means the world to me. And thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Bye.